Hello and welcome to the presentation. This is one of a series of presentations on Microsoft licensing. Additional presentations in this licensing series can be found at www.learnlicensing.com. Today we'll be talking about Microsoft Virtualization, focusing on desktop virtualization. First of all, we'll take a look at the products that deliver on desktop virtualization, and then we'll go into the individual licensing models for each one so you can ensure you're correctly licensed in your virtualized environment. There are 4 other presentations in this series on virtualization licensing, and we'll tell you where to find these at the end of the presentation. Microsoft Virtualization goes all the way from the desktop to the data center. Let's take a look at the components that make up the Microsoft Virtualization story. The Microsoft Virtualization technologies really go right across an organization, offering 4 main areas of functionality. First, there's server virtualization, which allows you to create virtual servers, helping you make better use of your physical hardware. Then there's application virtualization, which helps combat application complexity, allowing applications to run completely isolated from each other. There's desktop virtualization, which gives IT administrators an easy and centralized way to manage employees' computers. And finally, there's presentation virtualization, which gives high levels of IT control and security when delivering both desktops and applications to users. You may choose to deploy some or all of these virtualization technologies in your organization. Let's take a look at the technologies that you deploy to take advantage of virtualization within your organization. In this presentation, we'll be looking at how Virtual PC and Microsoft Enterprise Desktop Virtualization, or MEDV, and the Windows Vista Enterprise Centralized Desktop, or VECD, deliver on the Microsoft Desktop Virtualization vision. Finally, we'll review these virtualization technologies and Microsoft's management products, an important element in provisioning and managing a virtual infrastructure. A key benefit to these virtualization management products is that it's the same set of tools to manage both your physical and your virtual environments with the System Center suite of applications. The focus of this presentation is on desktop virtualization. Let's start off with a quick look at some of the benefits that desktop virtualization can deliver to an organization. In a PC, there's a hardware, operating system, application, data, and user settings. There is a dependency in all these components in a traditional PC with all the components bound together, making it difficult, for example, to replace hardware or software. This dependency can cause problems for your IT department. Desktop virtualization allows you to decouple the hardware and the operating system to reduce the complexity of deployment, increase the simplicity of management, and provide greater flexibility for users. Let's take a look at a couple of these desktop virtualization scenarios and see how virtualization is leading to increased agility. Desktop virtualization is a term used to describe 2 complementary scenarios, server-based virtualization and client-hosted virtualization. In both of these scenarios, a standard desktop operating system, including applications, user data, and settings, are encapsulated in a virtual machine that the user can access. Server-based virtualization runs multiple desktop virtual machines on a server, while a user gets a remote display to his PC or thin client, usually using the Microsoft Remote Desktop Protocol. In a client-hosted virtualization scenario, the virtual machine resides and operates on the client itself. While in many cases both technologies can solve similar business needs, each technology has its pros and cons and fits specific use cases better than others. For example, when you want to have a thin client desktop environment for task-driven workforce, such as a call center, the server-based solution would be a great fit. However, if you need to provide a corporate desktop and applications to an employee with a laptop who travels a lot and needs to work offline or over limited network connections, the client-hosted solution would be the better one for you. In other use cases, it's a matter of customer preference, whether you prefer a centralized computing environment investing in server farms or a decentralized environment leveraging endpoint device computing power. By complementing each other, the 2 scenarios provide a complete solution for desktop virtualization. Let's quickly look at the technologies and licensings for these scenarios. For the server-based virtualization solution, the PC or thin clients would need Windows Vista Enterprise Centralized Desktop or VECD licensing. For the client-hosted virtualization solution, a virtual PC and a Microsoft Enterprise Desktop Virtualization license are needed. Let's take a look at how these components are licensed in a little more detail, starting with the server-based virtualization scenario. Here is a look at the licensing of VECD and terminal services for a licensing of a server-based virtualization solution. The Windows Vista Enterprise Centralized Desktop License is a unique licensing option of Windows Vista. VECD can be licensed for both thin clients and PCs. VECD for SA is a solution for Windows licensed PCs with active software assurance, and VECD is the solution for a thin client device incapable of running Windows operating system. Before you run any instance of the software under a license, you must assign that license to a device. That device is referred to as the licensed device. You may create and store an unlimited number of copies of the software on a network server or storage media for use on any VECD licensed device. You may remotely access from the licensed device at any one time one running instance of the software in one physical operating system environment, or up to 4 running instances of the software in virtual machines or otherwise emulated hardware systems. If you're using Windows Vista Business, you can choose to run the permitted instances locally in a virtual machine on the licensed device. Terminal Services is a service of Windows Server, and you simply need to activate terminal services on your Windows Server with no further licensing requirements for the server. You can then choose to license Terminal Server either by user or device, and then get both a Windows CAL and a Terminal Services CAL for the user or devices. So let's take a look at the licensing model for the client-hosted virtualization solution, looking at Virtual PC and MedV. First, Virtual PC is a free download from Microsoft. If you intend to run a number of virtual machines, then deploy Windows Vista Enterprise on your desktops gives you the rights to run up to 4 copies of Vista in virtual machines. There are 2 key points when licensing MedV. First is that it's licensed with a subscription license that is tied to the term of your volume license agreement, and second is that it can only be acquired as part of the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack, or MDOP. MDOP is available when you have software assurance for Windows Vista. Let's take a look at MDOP. MDOP is a collection of technologies that help customers enhance manageability while reducing the complexity and cost of their IT infrastructures. One of those technologies is Microsoft Enterprise Desktop Virtualization that we've just been talking about. One of the key things to note with MDOP is that you must have SA on your Windows license to be eligible to purchase MDOP. The MDOP tools may then be installed and used on Windows desktops with active SA. Now we've covered the licensing for the 2 different desktop virtualization scenarios. If you would like more information on virtualization, there are 4 other presentations covering the other aspects of Microsoft virtualization licensing: server virtualization, application virtualization, presentation virtualization, and virtualization management. You can find these presentations at www.learnlicensing.com. You'll also find an accompanying downloadable quick reference card outlining the major principles of this presentation and a resource list to get more information related to this topic. Look here too for additional licensing presentations covering licensing principles and in-depth product licensing models. Thank you for joining this presentation on Microsoft Desktop Virtualization Licensing Options.